Hey friends, I'm back with more Tale of Despereaux. I think I'm going to try to read 2 to 3 chapters each time I come and visit you on this video, and we'll go from there. As always, when I'm finished reading, I have questions for you to answer in your journals at home in the description box. So just click below and you'll be able to see and answer those questions. Awesome. Here is chapter 3. Once upon a time. Despereaux's siblings tried to educate him in the ways of being a mouse. His brother Furlough took him on a tour of the castle to demonstrate the art of scurrying. Move side to side, instructed Furlough, scrabbling across the waxed castle floor. Look over your shoulder all the time, first to the right, then to the left. Don't stop for anything. But Despereaux wasn't listening to Furlough. He was staring at the light pouring in through the stained glass windows of the castle. He stood on his hind legs and held his handkerchief over his heart and stared up, up, up into the brilliant light. Furlough, he said, what is this thing? What are all these colors? Are we in heaven? Cripes, yelled Furlough from a far corner. Don't stand there in the middle of the floor talking about heaven. Move, you're a mouse, not a man. You've got to scurry. What? Said Despereaux, still staring at the light. But Furlough was gone. He had, like a good mouse, disappeared into a hole in the molding. Despereaux's sister Merlot took him into the castle library where light came streaming in through tall, high windows and landed at the floor into brilliant yellow patches. Here, said Merlot, follow me, small brother, and I will instruct you on the fine points of how to nibble paper. Merlot scurried up a chair and from there hopped onto a table on which there sat a huge open book. This way, small brother, she said as she crawled onto the pages of the book, and Despereaux followed her from the chair to the table to the page. Now then, said Merlot, this glue here is tasty, and the paper edges are crunchy and yummy like so. She nibbled the edge of a page and then looked over at Despereaux. You try, she said. First a bite of some glue and then follow it with the crunch of the paper. And these squiggles, they are very tasty. Despereaux looked down at the book and something remarkable happened. The marks on the pages, the squiggles as Merlot referred to them, arranged themselves into shapes. The shapes arranged themselves into words, and the words spelled out a delicious and wonderful phrase. Once upon a time. Once upon a time, whispered Despereaux. What? Said Merlot. Nothing. Eat, said Merlot. I couldn't possibly, said Despereaux, backing away from the book. Why? Said Despereaux, it would ruin the story. The story? What story? Merlot stared at him. A piece of paper trembled at the edge of one of her fingers and whiskers. It was just like Papa said when you were born. Something is not right with you. She turned and scurried from the library to tell her parents about this latest disappointment. Despereaux waited until she was gone, and then he reached out and with one paw touched the lovely words. Once upon a time. He shivered. He sneezed. He blew his nose into his handkerchief. Once upon a time, he said aloud, relishing the sound, and then tracing each word with his paw, he read the story of a beautiful princess and the brave knight who serves and honors her. Despereaux didn't know it, but he would need very soon to be brave himself. Have I mentioned that beneath the castle there was dungeons? In the dungeon there were rats, large rats, mean rats. Despereaux was destined to meet those rats. Reader, you must know that an interesting fate, sometimes involving rats, sometimes not, awaits almost everyone, man or mouse, who does not conform. Chapter 4. Enter the Pea. Despereaux's brothers and sisters soon abandoned the thankless task of trying to educate him in the ways of being a mouse. And so Despereaux was free. He spent his days as he wanted. He wandered through the rooms of the castle, staring dreamily at the light streaming in through the stained glass windows. He went to the library and read over and over again the story of the fair maiden and the knight who rescued her. And he discovered, finally, the source of the honey-sweet sound. The sound was music. The sound was King Phillip playing his guitar and singing to his daughter, the Princess Pea, every night before she fell asleep. Hidden in a hole in the wall of the princess's bedroom, the mouse listened with all of his heart. The sound of the king's music made Despereaux's soul grow large and light inside of him. "Oh," he said, "it sounds like heaven. It smells like honey." He stuck his left ear out of the hole of the wall so that he could hear the music better, and then he stuck his right ear out so he could hear better. And it still wasn't enough. Not too long later, one of his paws followed his head, and then another paw, and then, without any real planning on Despereaux's part, the whole of him was on display, all in an effort to get closer to the music. Now, while Despereaux did not indulge in many of the normal behaviors of mice, he did adhere to one of the most basic and elemental of all mice rules. Do not ever, under any circumstances, reveal yourself to humans. But the music made him lose his head and act against the small few mouse instincts he was in possession of. And because of this, he revealed himself, and in no time at all, he was spied by the sharp-eyed Princess P. "Oh, Papa," she said, "look, a mouse." The king stopped singing. He squinted. The king was nearsighted, that is. Anything that was not right in front of his eyes was very difficult to see. "Where?" said the king. "There," said Princess P, pointing. "That, my dear, is a bug, not a mouse. It is much too small to be a mouse. No, no, it's a mouse." "A bug," said the king, who liked to be right. "A mouse," said the P, who knew she was right. As for Despereaux, he was beginning to realize that he had made a very grave error. He trembled, he shook, he sneezed, he considered fainting. "He's frightened," said the P. "Look, he's so afraid he's shaking. I think he was listening to the music. Play something, Papa." "A king play music for a bug?" King Phillip wrinkled his forehead. "Is that proper, do you think? Wouldn't that make it some kind of topsy-turvy, wrong-headed world if a king played music for a bug?" "Papa, I told you he's a mouse," said the P. "Please." "Oh, well, if it makes you happy, I, the king, will play music for a bug." "A mouse," corrected the P. The king adjusted his heavy gold crown, he cleared his throat, he strummed the guitar and started to sing a song about stardust. The song was as sweet as light shining through stained glass windows, as captivating as the story in the book. Despereaux forgot all of his fear. He only wanted to hear the music. He crept closer and closer and closer until, reader, he was sitting right on the foot of the king. I'll see you next time. We'll start off with chapter 5. Bye, friends.